Welcome to the Big Mike Fun Podcast, where you learn about advanced wealth building strategies from real estate investing to creating massive ROI and secured retirement profits. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, grab a notepad, and lean in. Because Big Mike has got the mic, starting now.
Welcome to the Big Mike Fun Podcast. It is my privilege and honor to have Saul Z from Chicago, my brother from the Collective Genius Mastermind, to join us. Hi, Saul.
Hey, what's up? Hey,
how are you today?
Good. Having fun, and thanks for having me here.
That's great. How's the weather in Chicago nowadays?
Actually, no. Today it's quite all right. We had a pretty cold last couple of weeks, but today I think it's probably like 5 above zero, so it's better. Yeah,
I guess the nor'easter, whatever they call it, that whole storm has passed. Same thing in New York. It's gotten a whole lot warmer today.
Yeah, it's a lot warmer.
So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about you, what you do, your real estate business. From what I understand, you have a very diversified business. You have kind of 4 divisions in your business.
Yeah, so pretty much the way I started in real estate as an appraiser, and then I transitioned selling homes, then buying homes and fixing them, and also financing and doing mortgages. So in right now, what we evolved in the last 10 years, we have 4 divisions. We have deals with buying homes, wholesaling and fixing and flipping them as well. Also, we have a division for brokerage. We have 10 agents, and we do approximately last year we did 55 million in volume on traditional brokerage, and we have a mortgage division for end buyers, for FHA conventional buyers. We processed over $25 million of volume in that division, and also we have title. So it's kind of 4 divisions, mortgage, brokerage, deals, and title investor.
That's great. That's like a full service everything. You're providing brokerage. You could help somebody sell a house. You can help somebody buy a house. Yeah. You can help somebody get a mortgage, and you can help them get title insurance for the transaction. So it's great to hear. And you're doing some very impressive volume. So
we don't do much, that much as our Collective Genius brothers on deal side, but in terms of other aspects, I think it's pretty sizable for the amount of people we have. Entire organization it's probably less than 30 people in all divisions, but with the 10 agents and 2 loan officers, that's quite a lot per agent production or per loan officer production.
It's still very impressive. I'm impressed. So,
all right, thank you.
It's very interesting world. CG, the Collective Genius Mastermind, has evolved, and many folks are much more diversified nowadays. They used to be specialists. They just did a lot of short sales and whatnot, and nowadays it's just everything. You have to be a rehabber. You have to be a wholesaler. You have to be a broker, and you often have to be in the mortgage business too. So having all those 4 divisions, how do you keep kind of proper separation of responsibilities of duties? Because you have different hats.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm not the only one. So I have 3 partners. I have a partner who is overseeing title. I have a partner in the brokerage side. I have a partner in a mortgage, and mortgage partner is my wife. But she is day-to-day operations manager, and she's the one who is overseeing that aspect. I'm still the big, so to speak, CEO of all the companies. So I have accountability meetings and one-on-one meetings with all the leaders of those divisions. Just kind of give you a big picture. So we overlapping on the books with the state and with accounting, in our books, it looks like it's 4 separate companies. It's not really 1 company. It's 4 separate companies. At the same time, we're sharing marketing and accounting kind of, the same. So all the companies are chipped in the expense for marketing and an expense for and managing and controlling and financing. The rest of the pieces like sales and whatever comes in those companies are separate.
Understood.
So the way it's structured, just pretty much there is a leader in every single company or division, and I oversee that, and I oversee marketing and financials on all the companies. So meaning I'm looking at the reconciliations of the books every single month. I'm cutting expenses and I'm adding expenses, and I'm also the one who is doing a new initiative for the marketing, and I'm telling which initiative has to be kiboshed.
Understood. So the from everything I heard, you're the big boss.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, I'm a little bigger boss. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit about Chicago in general, real estate in Chicago. So in your brokerage business, you're moving over $50 million per year in transactions.
Yeah.
Are they mostly residential houses, single family, some duplexes, quads, triplexes, any of that stuff?
Yeah, mostly that. I would say 75% single families, another 20% condos, and maybe another 5%, maybe 10 max are duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. Occasionally, very occasionally, we're gonna have a commercial deal in an apartment building, but that's our bread and butter single families, I would say.
This is a classic, I guess, scenario for a big city. You have a mix of condos and single family houses.
Yeah. And I think the closer you get to the city, there's more condos. But for us, the way it works.
Are you one of the suburbs?
We cover entire Chicagoland. We cover mostly Cook County and DuPage. Cook is Chicago. But I think the reason is just because all marketing. Our main marketing expense are for deals, right? We're spending a lot of money to acquire deals, and not every single seller will fit for the deal. So then if it doesn't fit for the deal, it goes to traditional brokerage. But since we're mostly targeting single families, that's why we have more single families on traditional side. Same thing for mortgages. They have no marketing expense at all. Because all the deals that are coming from mortgage are actually
a referral from the other business,
from traditional side, which so that's the reason why there's mostly single family homes.
That's a great model. It's a no lead left behind. I guess that's the kind of the term that I've heard. You market to find deals, and then when something doesn't fit, you find a home for every opportunity.
Pretty much, that's what it is. Yeah, the most what we're doing on the brokerage side, on the mortgage side, and the title side especially, we technically don't have any new business acquisition costs on the brokerage side and the title cost. On the title side, everything kind of falls down from the other businesses.
Understood. So Chicago market, what's been going on? Have you seen pretty good appreciation in the single family housing market? Is that similar to many other cities? And what's been the trend? Obviously now we're going into the winter season and things are probably slowing down somewhat.
Well, I thought it was going to slow down a little bit more actually, but frankly, the market is hotter than last year. I think that's kind of, I'm looking last January and this January. Last week we put 3 deals together. I think on traditional side, we had in the first week 10 deals together, like on the brokerage side. So inventory is very low. In terms of appreciation, again, it varies from neighborhood to neighborhood. But I would say overall we had, between 5 to 6% appreciation. But there are neighborhoods, who appreciate over 10%. There are neighborhoods who are still have over normal levels of inventory, so we're not marketing that. But overall, the main big picture is that there's a shortage of inventory, shortage of single family homes. The last deal yesterday, I sent it out, and I normally would have had 5-6 showings. We booked 30 showings. We had 12 offers, which would not expect last year, on the deal. In the wintertime, and it's just a big shortage of inventory. So I think it's going to be a great year again for finding deals. And I don't really see exactly why would that stop. Of course, no, that and I'm talking about ARVs which are between 2 to 500,000. Everything was a 5 to 1 million. It was never super hot. I mean, the product is moving, but it's not as hot as that 2 to 500,000. Everything what is above $1 million, it is kind of stale, we don't buy that product a lot. But I'm hearing from builders that actually it's slower than it was 2016. Especially expensive condos, meaning those relatively expensive and above $1 million condos in Chicago is considered an above median price, not as in New York. So those are moving slower. So that's kind of a notion that, just big picture of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that clarification. That's actually very consistent with other big cities. And I mean, New York, and on the lower end of the market, that market is appreciating probably above the average because there's a lot of demand and affordability is still there. And the moment you go higher up, big cities are not very affordable per se.
Yeah.
There's another interesting impact from the recent tax changes from the Trump tax plan. I don't know if it's called Trump or Republican or whatever you want to call it. But if you remember, what's included is they cut the mortgage interest deduction down to the first $750,000, which means that properties above $1 million with mortgages above $750,000 will have somewhat downwards pressure on them because of the limited availability of the not limited availability, but limited deductibility of the mortgage interest.
Yeah.
And the other thing is property tax deductions. I don't know what the property taxes are like in Chicago, but I think the $10,000 is the limit in this tax bill. So
so that's a big problem. Okay, so I mean, talking about, so I mentioned about positive things. So on not so positive side is that Illinois and Northern Illinois and Chicago losing a lot of population. A lot of population is moving to Indiana or moving to other states like Atlanta.
Because of lower tax
because
rates.
Of low taxes, we have just give an idea, like rule of thumb number on the taxes in Cook County is about 2% of the value. 2% of the value. In Will County, DuPage County, sometimes they get like 2.5%, so which is way higher than our neighborhood states like Northern Indiana. So we're losing a lot of population over there. Also, in general, Cook County, which is the biggest county for Chicago, right? So it is considered one of the oldest in terms of demographically aged, one of the older cities. So there is that demographics doesn't have. Their buying power going down versus going up. Yeah. And their trend is downsizing versus upsizing. So that's another factor that works against Chicago, right? So those are from kind of not so positive sides. But at the same time, Chicago is pretty much on the same level of the cities as New York, LA, Tokyo. I mean, one of the main cities in the world, and cost of living here is considerably less expensive than New York. The quality of life you're getting, pretty much everything what a major city can offer to you in terms of entertainment, food, sports, caliber of life you're getting, for less expensive. So it's a really good place to be, actually, to do business here if you know what you're doing.
Oh, it's a great. You should probably get some endorsement from the mayor of Chicago for promoting the city. Yeah, it makes sense. I think it's a metropolitan city with higher cost than surrounding areas, but it's not as bad as New York, San Francisco, and those super metropolises.
Correct.
Makes sense. Yeah, Chicago is beautiful in the summer. I was in Chicago. I'm trying to remember when. I was at the Mastermind. I think it was May, and it was just so good. It's so pleasant, so nice. A little bit windy, a little bit, I guess May and June probably very pleasant over there.
Yeah, May and June, and my favorite months are September and August. September and August, for me, are the best months to spend time in Chicago, in the city. And when lake is warm and there's boats and a lot of activities, sports and concerts and all that stuff, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I hear you. That's great to hear. So hearing these sort of demographic trends, I guess, tax trends, migration in and out, what do you think are the next set of opportunities in Chicago market? Would you, if you were an investor and didn't have much information beyond kind of high level, would you be investing in condos? Would you be investing in single family houses? Would you be investing? I'm assuming a long term, not a flip.
Long term. Okay.
Yeah, for long term.
Yeah.
Where would you say, in your opinion, are the best opportunities for both for a mix of income and appreciation?
Income and appreciation. Okay.
Because big cities, while you're thinking about this, I'll tell you, New York, there is no income here. There's a very limited amount of income you can get. You could get some level of income if you buy 2 or 3 family, sort of a mixed use property, because you have a commercial plus a couple of apartments, and the cash flow is generally pretty low because the cap rates you're buying them at, say 3 would change or 4%. You get a mortgage, you have no positive leverage from that.
Mm-hmm.
So returns are pretty low. It's all appreciation play. I hope Chicago is not as bad. I don't know Chicago market well enough. But what kind of returns? What kind of cap rate?
Well, all right. So if you're talking cap rates, probably I want to pick the asset class apartments, right? So if we look apartments, then there is north shore, north side of the Chicago, where it's it is considered more expensive area for decades. Is like that. There is a south side, that is a west side. South side and west side, what you see, guys, know there is a lot of crime activities, more crime in those areas, and historically those are much lower price points than north side of the Chicago. So in the north side, let's say on apartment buildings right now, we're seeing maybe like four cap buildings, and so there's no cash flow play at this, and there's no inventory, and people who are buying there, it's just pretty much equity preservation, I would say, or equity preservation, and it's very easy management. The rental prices over there through the roof. The prices of those buildings are higher than before the crash. So let's say I'm talking 2007, recession. Those prices in north side already higher right now than it used to be before, but at the same time the caps are at 4. If we look at South Shore or West Side, we're looking at the caps, I would say probably between 8 and 10. 8 and 10 caps is
big difference in 8 and 10 and 4.
Significant difference, but you have to have a huge management muscle to manage all. I mean, if you think you're gonna go in the south side and buy a building, you're gonna cash out in New York at 4 and you're gonna invest at 10 and you're gonna hire property management, I mean, it's just not gonna happen. You have to have a partner who's gonna manage that, or you have to have boots on the ground. It's just different management animal. At the same time, those prices are still not to the levels of 2007. So logically thinking, if nothing is going to bomb in the next 5 years, right, then the trend should be the same what happened on the north side, that the value is going to go up to the 2007 and above. And also they also have a room where to appreciate in terms of rents, because rents are not as high in the south side and in
north side,
in the South Shore, and there's a part of there's a couple neighborhoods in the South Shore which are coming up. One of them is Hyde Park, where there's a Chicago University, and it's a big kind of community in that South Shore. It's kind of a catalyst for development, so to speak. So north side is completely developed. I mean, of course, there are new construction skyscrapers that are coming up, but in terms of how much opportunity there is in the south side, there is more, just because that area was more neglected, more affected during downside, and it had, and that's where when Chicago was the candidate to having an Olympics. That's where everyone thought there's going to be major development is going to coming out. Well, Chicago didn't win the Olympics, but there's still an opportunity there. And if we're going to continue with this trend of economic, positive trend, there's more money is going to be pumped in that area than in the north side, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's by the way, it's true everywhere else where you have somewhat disadvantaged neighborhoods, and if they go through gentrification, if they go through level of investments of sports facilities or other, that area grows quite well and quite fast. I don't know if you're familiar with New York, but I like to use an example of downtown Brooklyn that used to be kind of not the greatest area. And when Brooklyn Nets moved in, they built Barclays Complex. The whole area just lifted up hugely. It's just the whole neighborhood revived with that sports complex, and the condos are going up everywhere. And I like to joke about that area. The area is great and everything else, but they still will sell you weed on the corner. So, yeah, it's happening. So, having that knowledge, what are you doing yourself besides? So, are you making any long-term investments yourself? I know we've had this wonderful concept in Collective Genius. People have talked about investing for long-term. So a lot of people are flipping, and I like to use this term. Flip 5, keep 1. That's the, I don't know if it's a rule of thumb, but it's been one of those well-known kind of doctrine. So have you been acquiring long-term assets? Remember, you sent us a deal. Trying to remember, did we fund the deal or no?
Well, actually, we're taking it down cash. And
you're taking it down cash, right?
Happen this week, yeah.
I can't remember why we didn't proceed, but at least you're taking it down cash. Maybe we could still chat a little bit more about this separately.
We're still going to have this conversation. I'm in conversation with you about it.
Yeah, but that deal was a commercial deal, if I remember correctly. You were buying that for long term. Can you mention a couple of things about that deal, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so pretty much, in terms of long term, I don't, to be honest with you, I have like 4 single families. I have 1 duplex that you financed. We have to refi it in the next month, and it just it always seems like you need capital, and it just never put my thought to put more of those deals. Just put it long term, but. The deal I'm doing right now, it's an industrial building.
That's right.
Industrial building, and Chicago is situated in the area where we have a lot of logistics. It's kind of in the middle of the country, and the trend is that people need more products from Amazon. They're not shopping in a shopping center. So warehouse demand actually is increasing. So if you look at that asset class, it is a huge shortage of that, of the industrial buildings. So it has to be specific industrial building, fitting small business kind of, type of owner use building, or maybe a couple owner use buildings. In those buildings, you still can get at, 9, 10, 8% caps.
Yep.
And they're still in the same demand as apartment buildings. To go with a 10 caps right now in apartment buildings, I have to go on the south side, have a shotgun and collect the rent. I don't have to do that with that asset class. So we're doing the first building. It's going to be, so a little bit about the building. It is over 76,000 square feet. Industrial building. They had 4 tenants. Right now, only 2 tenants occupying. So it's only, I think, 25% occupied. We have potential tenants already there. It's going to cash flow right now, even after we buy cash from existing tenants. After we fill in the tenants, after debt service, we're probably going to be cash flowing about $200,000 a year on that building. So, but anyway, so it's going to be around 10% cap building.
By the way, that's a very, very good point for the listeners, that people have been considering different areas of opportunities, and this is not a common sector, kind of industrial buildings. You have to be almost a specialist to know what you're doing, but the opportunities are there. Most definitely, multifamily markets have been saturated. There's a lot of marketing happening in multifamily, and the yields have come down. I had another podcast recorded earlier today. I talked about yield compression, and there's definitely yield compression in many other real estate asset classes, but industrial buildings and on all the commercial buildings might present a very interesting opportunity for folks to consider conversion projects. You take a building in one use, and then you convert for whatever old tenants, or it could be even vacant, and you can sort of redevelop it into a better opportunity. We're doing a couple of projects like this with the commercial kind of warehouse buildings getting converted to self-storage facilities. Seems to be one of the interesting trends nowadays. So,
yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a very similar concept of putting probably about 300,000 into it, just lifting up the building, and doing a new driveway, making a, kick-ass lobby, just, putting there some touch-ups on lighting and just making that building more inviting. So kind of, doing a lift up like you would do on a single family. Of course, the main thing, of course, to have someone who has done it. So one of my partners, he has done it multiple times, 7 times, and
that's very important to have a partner with experience in whatever you're doing.
Exactly, because he can give sense to that opportunity that it's okay to wait for a tenant for 6 months. It doesn't happen like you're going to have calls next day and stuff like that. So just but yeah. And we'll test that. It seems like it's not really a test. It will work, and I'll tell in 6 months now exactly when the building is built in.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's talk offline about us potentially coming in with a refi after you take it down. That's another conversation. So so what's the best way for folks to reach you if a listener of the podcast wants to sell a house in Chicago, wants to buy a house in Chicago, or needs brokerage services or mortgage services? Is there a great way to reach you?
Yeah, I mean, they probably ideally would be, my cell phone, 630-742-4065, or go online at Chicagoland Home Buyer, which is www.chihomebuyer.com, chihomebuyer.com. Or shoot me an email at Saul, Saul, at chihomebuyer.com.
Yeah, that sounds great. I appreciate you're one of the few people who shared your cell phone. So you may get phone calls in the middle of the night.
That's all right. No problem. No problem, man.
Hope they are relevant calls, not some marketer trying to sell you some.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I run these episodes, try to run them short and sweet and on the focus. It's greatly appreciated to see your view of the real estate, your business in Chicago in general. And any other final thoughts? One more question, actually. What is your, do you have a book that you're reading now or a book you want to recommend to the listeners? Is there a good recommendation nowadays? And I know number one choice choice is always the Bible, but beyond the Bible, is there a good book?
Number one book that I recently, I'm going to share the classic book that I'm reading right now. Actually, I'm reading it a second time. It is, I'm going to show it over the podcast camera.
You're listening to the book.
Oh yeah. So
it's an audio book.
It's an audio book. It's a Titan, The Life of John Rockefeller, and it's his biography by Ron Chernoff. Titan. It's called Titan, The Life of John D. Rockefeller.
That's great. Titan, The Life of John D. Rockefeller.
Yeah.
I guess, are you trying to become John D. Rockefeller of real estate in Chicago?
I wouldn't say that, but I can tell you that there's a lot of small distinctions you're getting from that book. A man with such intelligence and what he was able to accomplish. But there are small things and small decisions and moves that he did was so insignificant, which actually had such a big impact in his life. So, there's like hundreds of those distinctions, when you're reading, oh my God, it's like, it makes sense what he did, with that. So
yeah, it sounds great. Thank you for the recommendation. So I appreciate that. I think we're done. Thank you again.
Thank you for listening to the Big Mike Fund Podcast. To receive your copy of Mike's How to Choose a Smart Real Estate Fund book, head to BigMikeFund.com or visit Amazon and type Mike Zlotnik. Keep listening and keep investing Big Mike style. See you on the next episode.